G'day guys. One of the biggest things that's usually overlooked when you're overlanding is first aid. Now, having a first aid kit is not as simple as simply buying some band-aids and chucking them in the glove box. It's about having the right gear and the right training to potentially save someone's life. Now, fate doesn't give you a warning when you're going to be the first responder. So are you going to be caught unprepared, or are you going to be ready? Now, injuries sustained when overlanding can range from a little splinter or a little cut all the way up to a complicated hemorrhage from a chainsaw slip or a burn from the campfire, etc. Most of these injuries are not covered by your little first aid kits that you can buy from the auto store. Even your more comprehensive and more expensive first aid kits still don't have the equipment for really serious injuries. I put our kit together to be sort of a base camp kit to cover as many feasible situations as possible. The kit itself is divided into individual kits for quick access and high mobility in an emergency. For example, someone has cut themselves with a chainsaw and is hemorrhaging blood fast. You don't want to be lugging this whole case 200 meters to the person. So in that situation, you would simply open the case, grab the red trauma kit, and run to the injured person. Let's take a look at the contents and explain further. Now we're going to look at the trauma kit here. Now this kit and the burns and minor wounds kit have a buckle on the front of it, so you can just simply undo, pass the buckle through this little section here. You can grab this handle. If this is mounted to like a cargo barrier or something like that, you can actually just grab this handle and tear it off of the barrier. So you don't need to have a full first aid kit if you don't need to. If you only want to have the trauma kit, that is an option for you. You simply undo that, which keeps extra assurance that this is going to stay closed. Undo your zips here, and it simply folds out into 3 here. Now, first and foremost, I have a little zip-up pouch down the end here that I have all my pairs of nitrile gloves in. Each pair of nitrile gloves is in its own individual little packet, which keeps individual pairs of gloves clean. So if for some reason, you know, someone's bleeding profusely and the pack ends up getting quite bloody or something like that, then I know that each individual pair of gloves is still fairly sterile and is able to be used. So I can easily just clean myself up, then put a new pair of gloves on, etc. Now, CPR mask. Having one of these proper masks is essential, I reckon. It's really going to help you, and it actually comes with instructions on the back. Again, that CPR first aid course is probably going to be the best thing for you. Pretty easy to use and pretty self-explanatory, really. Having one of these and being able to not touch the person that you're giving CPR to is really, really handy. Now, this is one of the things that all of the other first aid kits that I've seen on the market do not have, and that is a tourniquet. This is one of the most simple devices that is going to save someone's life, and it's not included in first aid kits for some reason. Now, yes, using them improperly can hurt people, and you don't want to use them in the wrong instances. For example, snake bites. You do not use one of these for snake bites. That used to be taught a lot in Australia and across the world, and you know, people were just losing limbs left, right and center. Like, if you have this on for too long, it will actually injure the limb more than the snake bite will. So this is purely for bleeding. That's why it's in the trauma kit. This is for if you have an arterial bleed or something like that, and you need to apply this to someone and stop the bleeding because you can't stop it purely with pressure. You need to make that decision fast when you're in that situation, so having one of these on hand is definitely going to do the job. And no, you can't improvise with a belt and a stick. It just doesn't work. We have trauma shears here to cut clothing off. I have a quick access pair of nitrile gloves just in case. In the back here we have a bunch of gauze swabs, which are sterile gauze, so I can use that directly in the wound if someone has a deep chainsaw cut or something like that. I have some thermal blankets behind it. So just in here, there's that little Velcro section. Some thermal blankets in here, and I have some little airways in here in case someone is passed out and not breathing, or has the risk of having their airway cut off, such as they're pouring petrol onto the fire or something silly like that, and there's been a big fireball and they may have burnt their airway or something like that. That's where you'd use something like that to potentially help them breathe properly. Now on this side here we have a triangular bandage, must have for every kit. We've got our little bio waste bag here. Now these are not only for disposing of medical waste, this is also a sterile bag. So if, God forbid, someone cuts their finger off or something like that, you have somewhere that you can chuck that appendage, and that it's going to be sterile and safe. I have some zinc oxide strapping tape, very, very good stuff. It sticks to bloody everything, this stuff. And in the back here I also have a couple of Israeli bandages. I have a 6 and a 4 inch. That gives me a bit of flexibility when it comes to someone's wound or something like that and dressing it properly. And it simply packs back up just like that. Just zip him up. Now I designed this kit for ease of use. So as I said, you can simply take this one little compact kit and you can stop a major bleed pretty quickly. And this kit might be the difference between someone living and dying. Because not every bleed you can stop with direct pressure. Sometimes it takes more than that. Next we have the burns kit. It's exactly the same sort of bag as the trauma kit, just in bright orange. So color coded so you know what's what. Now in the end here, instead of having nitrile gloves like I did in the trauma kit, I have the next most accessible thing, which is little sachets of burn gel. Now if you just have like a light burn, you accidentally touch the campfire, or you touch the element on your stove or something like that, or your hot saucepan while it was cooling down by accident, and you just got like a little burn before it's blistered or something like that, chuck some of that on and it'll help soothe the burn. It's not going to do magical wonders for you, but it's something to help soothe the burn. Next we have the larger burn dressings here. These are absolutely fantastic if you don't have running water. I have 10 by 10s and 2 20 by 20 dressings here. So, these are freezing to the touch right now, and it's, about 25 degrees outside. So they will help wick the heat away from the burn and make it less severe. But obviously water is going to be your best friend if possible. I do have some saline tubes here as well. This is for if the wound is dirty, so if someone's burnt themselves in a fire, stepped on some coals or something like that, and there's dirt in the wound, you want to try and quickly irrigate it out, but it's not the most important thing in the world. If you can get it out and it's easy, great, do it. If it's not, just chuck the dressings on and get them to a hospital or a doctor, Next I have a couple of little gauze bandages here, a couple of larger gauze bandages. I have some individually packed nitrile gloves in here. Up here I have some large swabs, again for removing a little bit of debris, but again, not super important. For small burns, I do have some ouchless dressing pads here, if it's just like a little burn. I have a thermal blanket because, well, one of the biggest things that happens when someone has a major burn is they start going into shock. There's all videos across the internet about that, so if you want to learn more, go and look that up. And then at the back here I have medical waste bag again. And I also have a massive burn sheet. I think that's 75 centimeter by 75 centimeter. So if someone has sustained a burn to their entire leg for some reason, they've fallen over into the campfire because they're drunk or they've slipped, something like that, that's something that you want to do, is have a full sterile field that you can wrap around their leg or their arm, whatever, to basically prevent contamination to the injury any further and help prevent infection down the line. So that's the burns kit there. Super quick. So here we have the minor wounds kit. Same layout as the other other two kits there. Now in the end pocket here, we have individual nitrile gloves. I think I have 10 pairs in here. I've also got some alcohol wipes. Fantastic for quick cleaning of an area before applying a dressing or something like that. I've also got some little safety pins here. Great for keeping bandages closed securely. In the end here, of course, band-aids. Larger band-aids. This here I bought from TACMed Australia. This was about $6 or something like that, I think. And what it is, it's an eye cup. It'll actually protect your eye if you've got an eye injury or something like that, rather than putting one of those old gauze pads directly on your eye. This actually sits in your eye socket basically and creates an area where nothing can touch your eye. So absolutely fantastic for that sort of situation, because the last thing you want with an eye injury is further irritation to your eye. Now I've got splinter probes in here, wound closures, so I've got some steri strips in here and some butterfly wound closures. I have the antiseptic cream in here. I think it's like a eucalyptus Aeroplus. I've got a little crepe bandage here, some irrigation, saline irrigation. I've got some some of the little orange irrigation. I can't say the name of it. I didn't know how to say it once, but essentially what this does is think of it as a germ killer. So you squirt this into the wound first and then irrigate it out with the saline solution afterwards. You don't want to leave that stuff in the wound because it will cause issues. Now I have a heavy bandage down the end here. This is great as a pressure bandage. So if someone has sprained their ankle or something like that, this is the bandage to use. I've got a pair of tweezers and some scissors here, a large gauze bandage here, some tapes and things like that up here. Now we've got some non-adherent pads up here, another triangular bandage. This one here. I have some syringes and needles just in case someone has medications or something like that they need to take and they've forgotten them. And I also have further gauze further gauze swabs in the back there. So great for like little wounds and things like that that can easily be taken care of at base camp. Now we've got your snake and spider bite kit. This is a great little kit. First and foremost, you have a SAM splint. What you want to do if you're bitten by a snake is immobilize the arm or the leg or anything like that. So if you're bitten on your leg, you want to immobilize it as much as possible. So you chuck this as a straight piece over your knee and everything like that, and then use these two specialty bandages here to apply over that to keep your leg immobilized and keep pressure on your leg as well. There's specific methods for doing these, and they'll be covered in your CPR course, first aid course when you do them. Now these bandages have special little squares on them that will actually special little rectangles on them that will become square when they are applied properly and to the correct pressure. So it's sort of like a pressure indicator that helps you apply it to the correct pressure without cutting blood blood flow off, because as well, there's a lot of misconception. People think that venom travels in the blood system when actually it travels in your lymphatic system. So a really great thing to do is not cut your blood supply off. Now, we've got a permanent marker for marking the time when you were bitten, and you can mark that on the bandage once you applied it. We've got a non-adherent dressing here to apply over the bite site, and some little instructions here. In the back, I think there's just a little bit of extra snake bite bandage as well. So a great little kit. I think this was like 30 bucks or something like that online. If you don't have one of these in Australia and you're adventuring outdoors, go and buy one right now. This will save your life, or potentially the life of one of your family members. Now we have the little multi-purpose kit here. Now inside there's a bit of a different pouch. Now inside, first and foremost, I have an IV bag here. Now this is purely for irrigation, but in the event that I do need to actually infuse someone with an IV, this is only 500 mil, so it's not going to do a great deal. But if someone's suffering severe shock from an illness or something and we're very remote, I know how to do it. I can do it safely, but if you're not trained in it, definitely do not try. So I've also got a cannula here for the IV and an infusion set. I've got an ice spray kit here, some strapping tape, and some instant cold packs to help you if you've sprained your ankle or something like that. So a bit of a great little multi-purpose kit, just in case. Now this is the little electronics pouch that I carry. So this is a little otoscope. We have a blood pressure cuff, a little thermometer, your pulse oximeter, and also, most importantly, some spare batteries. Now a little otoscope, for those of you who don't know, is this little guy. You'll probably be familiar with this from your doctor's office. It basically gives you a magnified image of whatever you're looking at, and it also has a little light on the end to help illuminate it. So if you need to see into, you got a really sore throat or something like that, you want to see if your throat is, or someone, like your partner's throat or something like that, you want to see if they've got like tonsillitis or something like that. You can easily check that with this. And also great if you've got a child with like a bug stuck in their ear or something like that. You can identify if there's something stuck in the ear, or if they've done damage to the ear or something like that. Thermometer, pretty self-explanatory. The pulse oximeter, essentially this gives you your an approximate stat on your pulse, and 2, your oxygen saturation of your blood, which is really important. If your oxygen levels are down in your blood, you start to feel pretty lightheaded, and it can be a bad sign. So that just helps you monitor those vital signs, I guess, without having big machines and things like that. So really important to know someone's pulse when they're in an emergency situation, especially if they are potentially suffering from shock. You want to keep an eye on that. And of course, blood pressure cuff. Pretty useless for most people, unless you have a blood pressure issue. But for the size it takes up in the kit, it's pretty worth having it there just in case. Now the first aid field guide. This is an invaluable piece of equipment to have with you as reference, particularly for people who aren't familiar with first aid or anything to do with medical situations. This will actually step-by-step you through individual situations. So there's chapters on here on choking, severe bleeding, and the most important thing that this book has is it'll actually take you through the symptoms of an issue and help you diagnose it on the fly, and also what to look out for, what complications are possible, and what to do if those complications present. So having a detailed little field guide like this is really important. Judge it for yourself. Go and buy a bunch of different first aid books, or go into the bookshop and have a look. but this one here, the Pocket First Aid Field Guide by George Dvorak, or however you say it, was a really great buy. I think it was like $30 or $40 or something like that. So fantastic little book, and I wouldn't go anywhere without that. Okay, so now we're looking at medications. Now, we've got Panadol, 500 milligram. We've got aspirin, 300 milligram. Some Strepsils, some Telfast, Mylanta, Nurofen. Really important for those who suffer from diabetes or anything like that, or know anyone who does, is to have some glucose gel with you. This is oral glucose gel, and if you suspect someone is having a low blood sugar event before they start going really badly into like shock or anything like that, you can give them a bit of this, rub it on the inside of their gums, obviously put a glove on first, rub it on the inside of their gums, etc., and this will help raise their blood sugar quickly. Now, quick prevention of a low blood sugar event is key to preventing any complications or anything like that. It's always more dangerous to have low blood sugar than high blood sugar. So having something like this, if you suspect it, if they can't communicate with you, then I would take the chance. Like, what's the chances you're going to have high blood sugar when you're camping? Have they been carrying around a 2-litre bottle of Pepsi all day? If they have, maybe don't give it to them. If they haven't, give it to them. Could be the difference between someone's life and death. Now, this is everything that I keep in my top left pocket of the first aid kit. Again, I have a thermal blanket, just because if there's a road accident or something like that, having one of these is more than likely going to save someone's life if they go into shock. You don't necessarily have to be bleeding to death to need a thermal blanket or to be burnt. If someone's just having a real hard time of it, chuck an emergency blanket on them. It'll help regulate their temperature and potentially save their life. We've got some gauze swabs here if someone's bleeding a little bit, or you just want to apply some antiseptic cream or something like that to them. Gauze swab is the way to go. Here I have, what have we got? Some betadine antiseptic ointment. We have some Medicream, which actually includes some lignocaine, which will help numb little stings and things like that, which is great. We have some Stingos gel and also some oil of cloves as well. Again, oil of cloves is great for dental issues, so if you have a sore tooth or something like that on the trails, that will help get you through the trip. I have a little eye bath here. Essentially it's just a little cup with a little conformed side to go over your eye socket, and essentially you fill it up with saline and then chuck it on your eye, chuck your head back with this on it, and it'll help to irrigate your eye and get whatever's in and out. I have some little cards here from TACMed Australia, and these are fantastic. They take you through a bunch of little steps like Doctor's ABC, etc., and some more advanced ones. They also have like little coma scales and stuff like that to help you diagnose issues if you have the training. Vital sign guides, it's a guide only. These are all over the place really. But yeah, little triage sleeve, great little thing to have. And they're really cheap from TACMed, so probably worth having if you get the training to use them. Of course, hand sanitizer, and also from TACMed Australia, I got these little casualty cards. Now, casualty card, you might laugh and go, you're not in the military. The importance of a card like this is if you severely injure yourself, or you're knocked unconscious for some reason and someone treats you, you have emergency medical like airlift or something like that come to get you, whoever's providing the first aid to you, whatever treatment that they do to you, they can write down on this card and actually detail out, has a tourniquet been applied? Yes. Has a chest seal been applied? Yes. Wound packing, dressings, etc., vital signs. All this information will help emergency services to diagnose issues with you, have a bit of track history from the time of the incident, to know how you're tracking. Are you looking that you're deteriorating? Are you looking that you're stabilizing? A really important thing for them to have. Obviously this would only be sort of in an emergency situation where someone actually needed airlift out or needed to go in an ambulance. I have some tongue depressors, really great if you know, you have a sore throat or something stuck in your throat or something like that, the back of your mouth, you need to get it out for some reason. Earbuds, not only just for ear cleaning, these are great for applying antiseptic cream and stuff like that to cuts. Absolutely invaluable. Now on the top right of the lid, I keep nitrile gloves. There's 20 pairs in here. I keep masks, yeah, COVID safe and all that, but not only COVID safe. Like if you're dealing with someone who has a severe laceration or something like that and they're squirting blood out, probably a good idea to have a mask on just in case. You don't want blood in your mouth or anything like that. So you've got little surgical masks, and then you've also got P2 masks if for some reason they're quite ill and you don't want to get ill. I've also got the Hardcore T155 headlamp torch, which is a great little bright headlamp, and has multiple settings, so you can have it really bright or you can have it quite dull, depending on the situation. Now this is my little medical kit contents checklist. I just did this up based on this kit, and I have little boxes I can tick if I've used something and I need to resupply it. So pretty great little thing to have. And also on the back I have medical dosage information, so I have all the safe usage, how often to have it, etc., and any potential issues with the medication that may come up, so people can read this and know what they're doing if they are not familiar with the medications in the kit. Now the most important thing you can do to be prepared for an emergency situation like that is to go and get some training. You can get a basic first aid course with CPR as well, under $200 in almost every city in Australia. That is a must for going off-road. You must know your CPR, you must know your basic first aid. These are things that will help you save someone's life. And there's also more complicated and advanced courses that you can do once you've done them. Maybe you want to learn some more. All the knowledge is going to help you in an emergency situation. Having lots of gear is great, but not knowing how to use it can severely limit how well you can utilize it in an emergency situation. So hopefully this video has given you some ideas and prompted further thought into your first aid capabilities. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, live to explore.